Hi guys, I wanted to do a quick video about anxiety because anxiety is something that I've been battling with for a number of years now, and I know I've noticed a lot of people go through everyone goes through their own troubles, their own personal problems, but anxiety is something now that's becoming a very much openly spoken about issue. And even though it's openly spoken about, I still don't think people fully understand what tools can be used to combat anxiety. And the reason why I'm doing this video today is because I've just recently come out of a very serious anxiety attack that really stopped me in my tracks, and I wanted to share a video and share some insights that are still coming out of this because it was so recent, but I can also tell you guys a little story about my first experience with anxiety and what it taught me. This experience was back in 2015. It was June of 2015 back in Perth, Australia, and I was going into my final finance exam. So I was just about to finish my last exam at my university back home, and I went into the exam. I was on like a 75% average in my finance unit. So all I needed in the exam was a 30% or higher to pass the unit. And being the disciplined person that I was studying day and night for all my exams, and this was my last one, so I was putting in extra work. I was getting up at 5 a.m, getting to university, studying all day, and I'd go home and sleep and do the same thing the next day. And when the day of my exam arrived, I remember getting up and it was 5:30 a.m. and I began my study session. Lots of coffee. I would read the book from front to back, and anyone who's studying, that's the worst way to study because you're just cramming yourself full of unnecessary information. So I was reading the book from front to back, doing every question I possibly could, and then the exam time came around, and I remember going into the exam and opening the first page to the first question. It was the largest question of the exam. It had the heaviest weighting of marking. And I looked at the question, and I didn't know a lot of it. I didn't know the answer didn't come to me straight away. And I instantly remember my mind jumping ahead to the future, thinking, what if I don't get this question? This is the majority of the mark for the paper, and I don't know the question. And then my heart started racing. And then my mind started going even crazier. I was like, well, if I don't know this question, I don't know if I'm going to pass. And then my mind kept going, if I don't pass, then I'm not going to be able to graduate my unit. And I actually had my job lined up. My graduate job as an accountant was set up and ready. And then I started thinking, I'm going to lose my job. I'm not going to be able to travel because I was about to travel after this exam. My mind kept racing, and I remember this heavy feeling came over me, like around my top of my stomach, like a heaviness, and I started sweating, and my mind was thinking so much, and I was panicking. It was like a panic attack mixed with an anxiety attack, and I remember looking down and flicking through to some more pages to try and answer some questions. My mind wouldn't give me I wasn't able to calculate answers. And I remember specifically doing all that I could, and I put my pen down, and I looked up and thought, I'm useless right now. My mind's not working. I'm out of control. I'm not in the moment. And I was absolutely devastated. I remember coming home because I knew I'd failed. I didn't answer the majority of the questions. And I came home and I lied on my bed, and I was almost in tears because I knew I completely lost control of my mind. And it could cost me my job. It could cost me my travel time with my friends, because if I can't, I'll have to redo the unit. And it wasn't a fun time. And I remember thinking, I'm never gonna let this happen again. I never want to allow my mind to take control of me like that. And this was actually how I discovered meditation for the first time. I began delving into the world of meditation to try and figure out how I could best manage my emotions and my thoughts. And just recently I've had another anxiety attack, like not a severe anxiety attack, but anxiety was starting to fester. And I've been meditating for a couple of years now, and one of the key takeaways I want to give to you guys if you suffer from anxiety is understanding the toolkit that you have to combat anxiety. Now, I look back on that day and my preparation for that exam, and my preparation was all wrong. I did not take care of my mental and emotional state before going into the exam. And it's the same deal now with a lot of entrepreneurs and type A personalities. We sometimes neglect to slow down and just take a breath, meditate. We need to exercise. Your toolkit is caring for the body and mind on a mental and emotional level. And when you do that, you will have the resources available to you to catch anxiety before it takes over you, like what happened to me. And I've noticed that meditation is one of the tools, but it's not the only tool, and it won't solve the problem alone. Not, at least for me anyway. The tools that I use are journaling, meditating, exercise, yoga, spending time out in nature, and sometimes it's even just sitting and doing nothing and feeling the emotion that's arising out of me. So the other day I was meditating lots, but I was noticing my anxiety was still hanging around, and I went to a yoga class, and that actually allowed the negative emotion that I was carrying to pass through me, and I felt a lot better after that. So if you suffer from anxiety, try not to resist the fact that you are overthinking things, and step away from whatever's causing you the anxiety. Unfortunately, in an exam, I couldn't step away from the exam because it was a 3-hour exam. I had to do the work, but it was the preparation that was incorrect that caused the anxiety. So if you can't step away from the event, ensure that you prepare correctly so that you don't get caught in an anxiety, a panic attack like me. But for most of us, we create our anxiety through pressure we put on ourselves, through thinking we need to get stuff done or worrying about letting people down. If you notice that that's causing your anxiety, step back, take a day, meditate, journal, reflect, do some yoga, exercise, eat correctly, fill yourself up, use your toolkit, and just sit with it. It's trying to teach you something, the anxiety, that emotion. Just allow it to pass through you. Allow it to teach you. Do not fight it. Do not try and resist it. Do not try and take action. Do not try and take action on the task that's causing you anxiety, because it will just compound the effect. Step away. Get some alone time. Have a bath. I had a bath the other day. It helped me so much. Know the toolkit for anxiety and use the tools that you need to ensure that your mind doesn't take control and that you're anchored in the present moment. I hope this helps. All the best.